Hi there, Stampers. This is Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Welcome to today's live. Today we're working on kind of a new twist on what I did Monday. Monday we did this diagonal gatefold card, and it opens up and it's just a standard card. Well, today we're going to put a new twist on it, and we're going to turn it into a gift card holder. So kind of a similar idea, a little bit different twist. So I'm excited to show you how it's done. Okay, so I saw Patricia said she loves this suite, and this suite with the bugs, it's totally adorable. But I didn't get it. But I did get the designer series paper, and it's amazing what you can do with just the designer series paper to turn it into something great. And I have a lot of like sayings like sets like this that I keep saying over and over again are so great for just using on absolutely anything. Like I did this at Halloween. I didn't have a Halloween set, but I had the Halloween paper. I made an adorable card. Nobody knew. So well, I do appreciate everybody who buys from me. Believe me, that's what keeps me in business. But sometimes we just need to save a little bit of money. So this is one of those ways you can do it. So I'm going to start out with some cardstock in crumb cake. So this is, it needs to be 10 1/4. And I probably have this too long. I bet I do. Did I cut it? Oh, I did. What do you know? I am ahead of myself. Okay. So this is 10 1/4 by 4 scored at 5 1/2. And there's 2 of them. And then I'm going to come in with some other papers. Let's go over that first. Okay, I've got a 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 of that. And then I have a 3 1/2 by, it should be 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. See, sometimes we go on autopilot and I forget this is a little bit smaller. So rather than this being 4 1/4, it's 4, and there's a reason for that. We're going to work on that. Oh, and that B I was going to cut out faces the wrong way. Okay. And then this is going to be for the inside. We're going to cut that diagonal. This is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then we have the inside layer here that's going to be 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, and then 3 1/2 by 5. Okay, so that's going to be our inside layer. And then I've got 2 strips that are 3 7/8 tall, I believe 5/8 wide. Okay, we're going to bring in the trimmer for a little bit. And I'm going to score the shorter end. So I want to make sure that my short end is what I'm working with. And then I'm going to measure over 4 inches and we're going to score diagonally. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my pencil. We're going to set this at 4 inches. I'm going to make a mark. Sorry, I have this close to me so I can see it. It might be off camera, but I am marking at 4 inches. And then I'm going to put that 4-inch mark in the trough of my trimmer here. Oops. And we're going to score diagonally. Then I'm going to come in and do the same thing with the other one. We're going to score this diagonally. Okay, while I have the trimmer out, let's go ahead and take our inside piece. I'm going to need to cut this diagonally. Now I want to pay attention to how I'm cutting this because I need it to fit right here. So I need it to go top left to bottom right. I don't want to go this direction, so I'm just being careful. So again, I'm putting the points in the trough of the trimmer and then going diagonally. And then this piece I can save for another card, do something else with it. But this is the piece I need. Okay, when I fold this up, I am making sure that I am flush on the side. And then burnishing this, and then I'm bringing this over and I'm making it flush with the side as well, and then burnishing that. Sometimes it'll make a big difference in how professional your cards turn out, is to just make sure that things are lined up on the edges. And it's very easy. See, I've got a little bit of a bump over here, so maybe my score wasn't exactly straight, but once I put this down and then fold into the score line, now I'm perfectly straight. So just going to keep an eye on that. It doesn't take that much extra effort, but boy, it sure makes a difference. Okay, so I've done that the same on both of them, but what I'm going to do is flip them this way so that they butt together. And once again, like we had on Monday, we have a little bit of a gap. And so what I'm going to do is just give the ends a little bit of a trim. So I'm sticking it in my trimmer and I'm just bringing it over to the edge of the brown and removing just a hair, just a little bit. Okay, that's going to make these push together and line up perfectly in the middle. So now there's no gap. Okay. Okay, on the inside of the card, I'm going to want to lay down my inside layers, and I'm not going to do any stamping on this one, so we know we can lay this down right away. And if you have a piece that's like not quite long enough, feel free to like dig through your scraps, because really it probably only needs to be, what this is, 5 1/4, 4 3/4 long, because the bottom's actually getting hidden. So if you're a little bit shy, don't worry about it. It's still going to work because we're hiding the bottom of that. Same thing if you needed to die cut out a few things, feel free to die cut out of the middle, because once we put this other layer on it, nobody's going to see that inside, and it's going to save you paper, and it's going to be saving you weight when you go to mail this. Somebody's asking, will I do a video on the Woolly Friends? I don't actually have the Woolly Friends. That's not something I have in my... If somebody local has it and wants to loan it to me, I'd be more than happy to do something with it, but it's not one I bought. Okay, this one... You guys buy more than I can afford to buy more, just saying. Okay, now I need the leaf, because I thought it would be really pretty just to put a leaf up here, and I can pull that out of any of my stamp sets. So you just like wander through your stamp sets and find anything that's going to like blend along. What I pulled that out of? That would be cute. Oh, here we go. That must have been what I had on my desk from Monday. So I had this little leaf here. So I'm going to stamp this first, because if I make any kind of a boo-boo, I want to be able to flip it over and stamp on the other side. Okay, once I clean this off, I want to put it back. So I'm taking my stamp set that I had stamped, and I'm going to put my thin layer over it. Match that up. And then I'm going to set down my leaf where it belongs. Then I'm going to take the rest of them and just set it down over the top. That's how I get them back onto the sheet where everything belongs, because I have to have a guide, or I think they've been playing Jenga with everything, and I can't ever get it back on where it goes. And then this one, and I'm going to go a little heavy with the tape, and I probably even could have glued, you know, that would give me some wiggle time. But the idea is I want these two layers to really stick together. I don't want this to come apart. So again, making sure my edges are aligned. There we go. And then, as I said, this is going to have that diagonal piece that we cut. So I'm going to butt the diagonal edge up against the diagonal edge here, and we're going to go ahead and glue that down. Let's go ahead with liquid glue so we can wiggle. Okay, now this is what's going to create the pocket for my little gift card. So I need that to stick down really well. So for that, I'm going to use Terran tape because it is a very strong adhesive and it's nice and narrow. Okay, and then I don't have to, but I'm gonna go ahead and just give this a little bit of a tack down. Okay, now I'm ready for this part. That's gonna go on the front here. And then I'm gonna put my two sides over here. Now for the two sides, I decided I wanted to dry emboss them. So I brought in the Ladybug Picnic folder. Now when I put this in, remember when you're using a folder that you always want to feed it through your embossing machine with the folded end first. I know it's not something that's widely talked about, but as the machine puts pressure on this from the rollers, we want it to have the open end over here. So we're going to start with the rollers up here and come this way. That's very important to stop your folders from breaking. I had someone in a class one time feed it in backwards and it was not good. It cracked right across the top. So here's our two sides. And I'm butting it up against the edge right here because I already have my border from the folded piece. I don't need another border from the edge. Now this one, when I go to line this up, like I said, the card was 4. We scored at 4, went diagonal. So we basically started with a 4x4 area. This is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then our top piece is 3.5 by 3.5. So each layer for this one is going down 1/4 of an inch. So that's pretty basic. Sometimes we will do things in 1/8 of an inch, but most times it's 1/4 of an inch. Okay, probably went a little heavy on the glue. I was talking too much. Okay, but I'm watching that point and this point. Okay, and it's also covering up the layer underneath. So I'm kind of watching that my borders are equal and it's covering up the inside layer. Now, for the sentiment, I decided to go with a banner. So I'm using the banner label punch. And I wanted to point out, while I had this out, that while I can use the banner size that comes with it, because we are using it as is. Oh, come on, what did I do with it? Here we go. If I had a longer sentiment, say I'm working with a different stamp set and I wanted something like wishing you lots of joy, and it's going to be longer. That's going to be too long to fit on one of the ones that come out of it. So what I want to do is I want to cut it down to the 1/2 of an inch, and then I'm going to figure out how long I need this to be. Okay, then I'm going to take this in from the back of my punch, and I'm just going to feed it under and only stamp the one, or only punch the one side. Okay, then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And so that's going to give me this long flagged banner that's now going to fit that longer sentiment using this. Well, and and you can measure in and you can cut. There are other ways to do that too. But remember, you can do this with all of your punches. I have this other punch that's just a label, and maybe I don't need a label that big. So I'm going to punch it out whole, and then I'm going to feed this back in, and I'm going to lay it down where I want it, like how big I want my label to be. I mean, and we could, we could adjust this just a little bit, or we could adjust it a lot. I just want to keep my edges straight and then punch. And I used a Post-it note as my extender so that it was long enough and I had something to grab onto. But now I have this label that's going to be smaller and will work with a different size sentiment for the card. So that's today's little tip. But let's come back in, and I had actually got 2 of these pieces because I wanted to do what I did on the other one, and it's not going to work because he's facing the wrong way. But what I did on this one is I found another one of the butterflies. Now this butterfly was already on that designer series paper. Then I found a duplicate butterfly and I cut it out with scissors, just fussy cut all the way around it. And then I mounted it on mini dimensionals so that it pops. So that butterfly is actually raised off of the surface, giving it a little bit of an extra something fun. And then I went in and I used Wink of Stella just on the orange part of his wings. So I don't know if you can see that, but his wings are a little bit sparkly. Need a light. There we go. You can see it a little bit. So popping him up and adding a little bit of Wink of Stella gave a little something extra to that. Then we stamped our sentiment, so I need those. And then I made a bow, and I did a little something different with the bow as well. So let's line it up on a grid line, get it straight. And then we'll mount this on some dimensionals. Since it's small, I'm using the mini dimensionals. And then once I did this, I thought it was still missing a little something, especially this one, since I don't have the other bee to pop up at this point. But I wanted a little extra something. And so I took the baker's twine, and this is Old Olive and Early Espresso twine, and I doubled it up. So I'm going to tie a bow with both of them together. And then not only am I doing that, but I'm going to double loop. So normally when I make a bow, it's just going to be one time around, and then I'm going to tie my knot. This time I'm going to wrap it around twice. We could even go 3 times. And each time we wrap it around, it's just making our loops to our bow just a little bit fuller. So I'm doing multicolor, multi-loop, and just giving it a much fuller bow. So see how pretty that is? How it just gives it a little extra something. Then when I come over here and I mount it on my card, you know, wherever I want to make it go, that's going to give it a little extra something. And then you would just attach that with a mini glue dot. See, this one was above. I had it a little higher, but I was trying to save face because it's got the little ants down there. And I still wanted to see the ants. So I don't know. I'll play around with that and figure out where it goes. But, oh, and then in here, I did the mushroom from the mushroom punch. This is Terrific Toadstools. And I just used some scraps. And I punched out the top of my mushroom and the base of my mushroom. And then I ran that through the embossing folder as well. Oh, come on. Let's see. When I'm doing the skinny ones like this, when there's multis in there, I will often cut my cardstock into a strip that is the size of what I want to use, so that I am not punching all 3 out of the same color, because that's often not necessary. But this one, what I did was I put it into the birch wood, and then I kind of looked around and I found something I thought was really busy and didn't have a lot of open holes. And so that's where I'm going to put my mushroom top. And then I'm kind of torn between which side I want to use, but I think I'm going to use the debossed side. So we'll put a mini glue dot here. And then even the mini dimensionals are too small to fit behind the stem of this where I wanted to mount them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mini dimensionals and feed one over to the side. Come on. And then I'm going to cut it in half. And to me, it's easier to cut it in half when it's still on the paper. So I moved it to the side and then cut it so that now it will fit down here. And then that can go there. And then because we made the pocket, that's where our gift card will go. So you can see how it starts out kind of landscaped and then flips around to be portrait style. Okay, so that is our card for today. I'm going to be back on Monday with another one, and I'm playing around some more with the what is this? Cute as a Bug Designer Series paper. And for this one, I'm using the free, or not free, but the product of the month, the $5 stamp set that you can get. Because I think that's a great one. Again, for those just basic words. And this is a fabulous deal for just $5. And remember, we have free shipping going on right now. So if you order $75 worth, they're going to ship it to you for free. You're going to be able to get this for $5. You can use your bonus days coupons. You will get the free PDF tutorial from me and the free card kit in the mail. So lots of great stuff if you order today or tomorrow. And then come back on Monday for another fun fold card. Are there any questions? Remember, this is a bonus to catching me live, as you get to ask me any questions that are out there. So there you go. Thank you so much, and I will see you on Monday. Thanks. Bye.